Hey guys, what's up? Will Perkins here, and I just wanted to take a couple of minutes and shoot a very quick video for you guys on heat maps. And I've actually seen a couple people talking about this in various groups, and people are asking, well, why are they important? Really, what's going to be the benefit for me? And one of the things I've been noticing, and this is something that we've done for quite a while outside of the e-commerce space, but we're doing it now with e-commerce, obviously, since that's where we're putting a lot of our focus. But one of the things we've done in the past is put it in our funnels, put it in our split... our sales pages to do split tests, all sorts of things. And we've kind of gathered a lot of information and a lot of data about how to do heat maps and how to do split tests and how to basically get the most out of your visitor data. And this is all very accessible to you, especially if you're using something like Shopify. It's only $10 a month to go get a software called Lucky Orange. And it actually does way more than just heat maps. You've got live recordings, live chat. I get nothing, by the way, for recommending this software, so I don't think this is a sales pitch or anything. I saw a couple people asking some questions, and I figured I'd go ahead and give some input there. But to just give you guys an idea, and by the way, this website, I have no idea what this website is. It's just a heat map example, so don't go trying to find it and try to use it as any examples or anything like that. I just wanted to use it as a background image for you guys. But heat maps are very, very powerful. For a lot of reasons. The most important, obviously, is that it gives you a little bit of an insight into what actually your customer is doing. So, like with the software Lucky Orange, we've been using this heavily over the last couple of 3 or 4 weeks, really. And I've been compiling tons and tons of data, thousands of clicks, and every single time somebody lands on our site, we're tracking literally dozens of different data points. But most importantly, we track the clicks, the moves, the scrolls, and of course, we kind of go down to like a precise element. And those are the 4 categories that Lucky Orange allows you to go for. And I like to focus personally on the moves and the clicks. Now, the moves are very, very relevant on mobile. And the whole reason behind that is that you kind of want to see where somebody is tapping. You want to see where they're clicking. You want to see what they're doing on the actual page. Mobile's obviously a huge component right now to sales and e-commerce and really anything. I know 67% of our sales are from mobile today. And one of the things that we've been focusing on heavily is a very, very mobile optimized conversion page, checkout page, add to cart page, you name it. Everything that we do has to be built in 2 different spaces. We have to build it for the people that are logging in on a computer, and we have to build it for the people on a phone. And the big thing that a lot of people think is, oh, as long as my website's responsive, I'm good to go. Unfortunately, that's not true. Not even in the slightest. And I'll be honest with you, if you think that, you're wasting a ton of your ad spend, especially if you're actively driving traffic. You're wasting a lot of money. What you really want to do is you want to go sign up for a service that takes screenshots of your site. You want to see what it looks like in all of the major browsers, whether it's on a computer, whether it's on mobile, whether it's on an iPhone, whether it's on an Android, whether it's on a Mac, whether it's on a PC. You also want to test what's it look like in Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Opera, all of the different browsers that are out there. You have to look at all of these different data points. And this is, I'm lucky in my situation because I have a partner that manages a large chunk of our ad portion of the business, so driving the traffic and whatnot. So I focus more on the tech side. But if you're by yourself, it's okay. You also don't have to go quite as deep as I just described, but you do need to go at least to the level of figuring out what it looks like on a Mac versus what it looks like on a Windows PC. I don't really worry about Linux, for example, because to be completely honest, our traffic has been 0.3% has been people on Linux. So if I lose 0.3%, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. Of course, down the road, I'm sure I'll be, kind of eating my words there and saying, guys, that could be an extra $1,000 if you just do it right. But point is, with split testing, with heat maps, with all of this, let me go ahead and I'll break down the main elements. So what we've done over the last 4 weeks is we've seen massive conversion increases. We've got about a 75% add to cart rate. We've got a 49% cart rate, people actually going to the cart page. And we've got a 26% checkout. Order page, people that are actually buying the product. And I think I said those the wordings behind those wrong, but the 3 main Shopify stats, we've got 75, 49, 26 are our numbers on our store that we recently set up. And the way that we've been able to do this is heavily with heat maps and heavily with live recordings. So for the first 2 weeks, all I did is we were testing traffic. We burned through a large chunk of our ad spend. We were spending several $100s a day just kind of understanding what's going on, and we weren't getting too many results for it. I think maybe we were breaking even by day 6, and because we were just gathering data. And remember, whenever you're spending money on ads, you're not actually wasting money. You're just quite literally gathering data, gathering information, and learning. And that's the most important thing to realize. Now, the next thing, and this is something that nobody really talks about, but on your actual sales page, what we found when we were watching people, we were watching them live, we were watching them through heat maps, we were doing all sorts of things. But what we found is that so many people ignore they ignore basic principles of web design. Now, I've got a little bit of an advantage here because I came from a web design background. I'm a programmer at heart, and I've done this for almost 15 years now, and it's kind of weird saying that since I'm still so young, but I've done this for a very long time, building websites, going through everything, understanding them. And one of the things that people forget is they look at it and they say, oh, that's really pretty. I don't care if it's pretty. I can tell you right now, this website in the background, it's okay at best. But if this converted at 65% and your gorgeous website that looked like, you just spent $7,000 on a designer to build it, if that converts at 5%, obviously there's a problem there. Pretty does not always necessarily mean conversions or necessarily mean money. And that's really what I look at the end of the day. If we're making money, I'm happy. If we're not, I got to figure out what's wrong. Now, what we did is we looked at live recordings and we looked at heat maps. And we started doing some split tests, and we did some true A/B tests. And the heat maps help with that because one of the things that we found was we can figure out where people are already spending their time and focusing. So like, for example, right here. If I'll highlight this if I can, but you can see here, there's a lot of focus right here on this portion of this page. A lot of people are going to the home page. A lot of people are clicking on this Kabaidi, I don't know how to say it, but you get the idea. A lot of people are clicking there. They're clicking here. They're looking at basically the actual purchase information as well as what the person on the right's doing. And then, of course, you got the stragglers that are down here at the bottom. Whereas with, obviously, these are just clones of each other on the pages, but if they were to make some changes, you can see all the focus is over here, and now there's even a little more focus in the bottom. And that's really the big thing, is that what you can see is when you're doing heat maps and when you're doing recordings of your users, you can figure out, are they focusing on what you want them to focus on? In our case, we want our users to do 3 things. We want them to view the offer, see what they're actually looking at, and understand what they're looking at. We want them to recognize the price, and we want them to add it to their cart. We really don't want them to focus on anything else. And one of the things that I found is that 35% of our traffic was actually going and looking at our About page because we're a relatively brand new site. We've only been around for about a month and a half, and at the end of the day, we didn't have a ton of products. I mean, we've got a couple hundred on there now, but back in the early days, we didn't have a ton of products on there, so a lot of people were like, well, who are these guys? Why are they important? Why are they relevant at all? And so what we found is tons and tons of people were going to the About page and going to the Contact page. And, oh, by the way, if your contact page doesn't work, that will kill your sales. Just going to tell you that right now. I didn't even know it, but for the first 2 weeks of our site being live, I actually had typed in .com as our domain instead of .com. And so all of the support emails just kind of never made it to the support. So I thought, oh man, we must be doing a good job. No, in reality, I just kind of screwed up and messed up the domain name. But anyways, back on track. People are going to the About Us and the Contact Us page. They wanted more information about our company. So what I did is I revamped both of those pages entirely. Instead of just having a handful of scarce words on the page, we actually put up images. They could be stock images, by the way, but we put up images, we put up Contact Us information, actual real information. They know where we're at in the world. We don't have to have a big office. We don't have to have a big team to be able to do this. You can get very creative with stock images, guys. Nobody is going to question the fact that, if you see a bunch of people standing around in a warehouse or something, they're going to be like, oh, that's the team. In reality, That's 15 actors that are just standing there taking a still shot for a photographer. It doesn't matter. It gives the trust factor and it builds a relationship with your buyer. Now, what we found is after they went ahead and we had the successful, the About Us and the Contacts page, after they went ahead and they visited those, they would go back to the offer and they would feel way more comfortable clicking Add to Cart. Another major thing, and this is really important with live recordings, is we were watching why are people on mobile that are on Android with a device, I believe it was like 5 point something and lower, because I think Android's up to 6. I can't remember the exact details, but whatever version of Android is right now, whatever the one before that was, so if it's on version 6 now, anybody that was 5 and below was not able to go ahead and change the quantity. That was a huge problem, because if we had somebody that wanted to buy 10 of these things, they couldn't. They could only buy 1. And the only time they could change that is when they actually got to the cart page. Most people are very frustrated at that point. So I had to go back into the code, reprogram the entire add to cart quantity portion to make sure that it was mobile friendly across the board. Most people are going to say, oh, that's not important. Whatever. I'm only losing a few percent of sales. Well, I can tell you this, guys. When I added that, our conversion ratio of how many people actually ordered a product skyrocketed. It went from a measly 16% to as high as 23%. That is a massive, massive jump. If you're talking 7%, if your product costs, that's 7 out of 100 people, something like that. And if your product's $100, $700, it adds up very, very fast. Make sure you're optimizing everything. In our case, a lot of our margins are lower. We've got products that go anywhere from $15 to $50, and if we'll make about 75 to 80% on our profit margins. And so our goal here is volume. In our case, we had a ton of Android traffic, especially since we were actually splitting our traffic between just iPhone and just Android, and we were wondering, why did the iPhone ads rock and the Android ads suck? There was something that was going on, and it definitely was not to do with the to do with the targeting of the ads. Now, once you understand, though, really what to look for on Heatmaps, that'll help you a ton. The things that I focus on, like I told you from the beginning, you have to have a handful of main points that you want to go for. What is it you want your user to do? And this is a phrase that I'm not going to take credit for whatsoever. I heard it somewhere, I just don't know where. So if whoever created this, here's credit to you. But you have to guide your customer through the checkout. The best way of describing this is if you go buy something on Amazon, what does Amazon do the entire time you have a product in your cart? They try to get you to go to the cart. They try to get you to go to the checkout page. I mean, their checkout process actually completely eliminates looking at anything else on the site. It completely eliminates any distractions whatsoever. They guide you through this process, and that is so critical and so important. And I know it's very difficult, especially with a platform like Shopify. You don't have a ton of flexibility with the actual checkout process. Other than getting them to the cart page, and then from there you can kind of design the style of the page, but that's about it. You're very limited with what you can do after that point. So you have to understand, you got to make all the changes you can, and then just try to tweak everything as Shopify, of course, updates and whatnot to make their pages better. So, end of the day, point is, however you want to put it, make sure you go ahead and you're using tracking software. Whether it's Lucky Orange, whether it's, there's so many different services out there. I could go down a long, long list. I just know of Lucky Orange because it's right in the App Store inside of Shopify. It's $10 a month for, I think it's 25,000 visitors. So as long as you're doing less than 25,000 visitors and you can afford $10 a month, you can start getting a massive amount of traffic very, very, very quickly, and it's not hard to do this whatsoever. So with that said, I hope this video has helped. Start adding heat maps, start adding live tracking, start using that data and actually applying it to your pages. Don't just get the data and say, oh, this is cool to look at. Actually use that data, and if you don't understand how to use it, find somebody who does, pay somebody who does, bring somebody onto your team who does. Most importantly, use the data to actually increase your business. So with that, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post them in the comments. By the way, like I said before, I'm not selling anything here. I just wanted to go ahead and post this because I know a bunch of people had some questions on this. They were talking about how can I increase conversions. I've had all these add to carts. Nothing's happening for me. I'm not getting people to go ahead and check out. Hopefully this will help you guys, and it'll give you a little bit more insight into what your customers are actually doing and why something's not working or why something's working so well. And And if something is working so well, you can then duplicate that on other pages and other portions of your website to go ahead and have even more success. Thanks again, guys, for watching. And if you would, let me know how the video went, and I'm sure I'll be around to help answer questions and whatnot. Thanks, guys.